I'm a little bit late to the party, but better late than never, I guess. Today we're going to be analyzing the red color for the new release set, set 9. We've already known what cards have been revealed for a couple of weeks now, so this is a little bit of a late news. But I wanted to get the cards from the database before actually making a video on it, just so I could have them concise in just one little area, right? So yeah, we're just going to be looking and reacting to them, giving them my thoughts. Anyways, let's start with the new leader. It's going to be Blue Gogeta. In my personal opinion, I think it would have been better if he was in base and then went blue, just to not have it go from blue to blue. That feels a little bit weird. But they do that frequently. I mean, I'm already used to it at this point, you know, just to get more unique animations in the game. Or it could be Super Saiyan Gogeta into Blue Gogeta. Anyways, pretty standard leader. A little bit of a difference here, though. When attacking, he draws a card, and he awakens at 5, and he flips. He does not draw an awakening. Now, in general, at least for this Gogeta deck, you want to have it be 4 or less and then draw one. Especially when you consider this Gogeta is going to have absolutely no problems awakening. None whatsoever. Because of a 1-drop Vegeta that we're going to see a little bit later in the video. He is going to be awakened on turn 3 easily, even if he flipped to 4. When he flips, he gets when attacking, you draw 2 cards and then you place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. And then you can active main, and then if you have a battle card with BR and a Fusion Evolve, or I guess if it was played during this turn, that's an important distinction, because hey, you could remove it and then this would still go into effect. Choose any number of battle cards in your opponent's battle area that are up to 15k or less and KO them. Now, the one attacking ability is good for the rush down, right? This doesn't really apply for Gogeta, but it is important to mention that since you're drawing 2 cards similar to the Hercule City Goku, you're gonna be able to deck out a lot, I guess not a lot faster, but like 1 card extra. And that's very important because you would want your leader swing to be as convenient as possible. Because normally if you have 2 cards left in your deck, you can swing with leader and then have 1 card and then just die next turn. But if you're playing with Gogeta, you have to have 3 cards in your deck, because if you have 2, you draw 2 and then you die. And you can't really do the effect of placing 1 card at the bottom. It just doesn't work that way. And it doesn't apply to Gogeta, again, because Gogeta is not a stall deck, it is a rush down. But it is important to mention that this would be worse if you're going for a stall game. Now, in terms of the active main, I really like it in terms of the quote-unquote natural power creep of this game. It is a 15k less KO, and it's an add-up to. We can compare it to Beerus. Beerus just minuses a card by 10k. The minus is nice because it obviously minuses a card and you don't have to be at the range to kill them to actually activate this ability. It also allows you to swing into cards and make them less powerful, making them easier to KO, stuff like that, right? This one is 15k and then KO. So you're not taking advantage of those benefits, but now you can use a higher realm of power, and you can add up to that amount. So you can KO either 3 5 cost, 10 and a 5, or just a straight up 15. I'm a really big fan of cards that are kind of like, it has this good but this bad, and then this one has this good and this bad. Like, there's no like overall just better card to play no matter what, right? There's like downsides to it all. I think that's very interesting. And, you know, unfortunately, it does seem rather underwhelming, this effect, because of cards like Red Cell, who just had 20k for some reason. But it's still a good effect, and it synergizes very well with what Gogeta wants to do, which, you know, we'll see. Let's get into the alt-arts, though. Let's really compare. This is obviously going to be personal opinion in terms of, this is a really good art. I like it a lot more than the, first start. We're also getting new double star rarity starting from the set, so we also have the double star rarity Blue Gogeta. I like the front side, I don't really like the back side. The gold foil doesn't really synergize well with this, and it makes the card very hard to read. Also, look at this awakening, by the way. It's like a dark gold on a, like, what would this color even be? Like pink? Magenta too. It makes it just very like hard to see what the hell is going on here in terms of the card. It doesn't look terrible, I will say, and if you prefer it, of course, like it's up to personal preference whether or not you like this card. But I would say that it would be this card, which would be the 1-star rarity that I would like most. then it would be the normal rarity, and then it would be the double star rarity. We got this Dr. Rinsu. This is going to be a new type of Daima support. Your leader is Daima, which would include Super Saiyan Goku, Starter Daima Goku, and Gloria. Draw a card, then discard a card from your hand, then choose it to one battle card in your opponent's battle, and it gets plus 10k. This is going to essentially replace the Makarita that came out, I think, back in set 4 or 5? I don't know if I'm going to correct myself, but, you know, like, it's not that big a deal. But it came out a very long time ago, is the point I'm trying to make. And it's a very good card. You do not, however, want to throw this in automatically in every Daima deck. Specifically when talking about Starter Daima Goku and Super Saiyan Daima Goku. Because those are Sun cards, and they want to run the Sun package that came out with the previous set sometimes, right? So you would also want to run the 1-drop Sun Gohan Childhood that adds the 20k. So at least it gives you the option. You can either run Dr. Orinsu, who isn't met up with the Sun condition, hard to synergize with decks, but it scries a card and then adds the 10k, which can help with killing. Or you can run the Sun Gohan card that struggles a little bit in terms of power, but it's still a very good card overall, and it synergizes with other cards that are part of the Sun combo. So, you know, that's also something to really keep in mind. I also really like this design, as I mentioned earlier, where it's just, there's a benefit, but it's also not just the better card you can play every single time. It also is 5k less in terms of attack power, but that doesn't really matter much, as you're not going to be swinging with it. Anyways, there's this Whis. On play and when KO'd, you choose one battle card and it gets -5, right? This card is not great. You would want the minus effects to add up together instead of adding separately, and these, not only can they not be done in the same turn unless you have something that KOs this, the effect is just worse, because even if you did have a card that can KO this Whis and then get a KO effect on your same turn, you would much rather play the 1-cost Shin. Though you might want to play it with the Angel package, though running the Angel package in the good year of our Lord 2026, like, that's not going to happen. But, you should play Shin either way, because Shin KOs the card, KOs itself, and then minuses the card by 10k. But honestly, this is not better than the 1-drop 5k attack power 10k Whis that's just on play -5, which came out with the red starter deck, or even the best Whis that we have, which is the 10k attack power 5k combo active main -5 Whis, which is the one that you should be running aside from this. It is Whis BR instead of Whis, so you might want to run this to increase the hit rate of your other cards that want to search for BR. But in terms of the actual Whis in the game, it's not better. Not at all. The only thing you could use it for is minusing a cantrip, and then if your opponent is foolish, they'll KO this with a Giru or something, and then you minus that Giru, and then you get 2 cards worth of value for 1. But that situation is just almost never going to happen, and it's not even going to be worth it to get anyway. So, just some stuff, just some considerations. We got a Glorio, though. With this Glorio, you add a card from your life to your hand, and choose one card with Daima in its card name and evolve, and it gets plus 15k. Now, the main target for this is obviously going to be the 6-cost Super Saiyan 4 Goku Daima. Though this doesn't really help it much, unless you're going for something like Game at that exact moment, because the Daima Goku is already swinging for 40. That already gets basically you're basically going to take that twice, almost 100% of the time. So, it's not really going to help you much, because being 55k is not going to, it's not going to break any records. Also, you got to remember that if you're evolving it on the turn, you get other Daima Goku that when your leader is awakened, you add 10k to the card, and it applies to the evolution too, so the evolution becomes a 50k instead of a 40. So you're already getting that value of a card for just playing the 2 cost, so you need to evolve it anyway. But this is a nice little interesting card, I guess. If you're trying to go for a game and close it out, this could still help you out, but in terms of actually being a reliable card for Glorio or for any other Daima leaders, I'm not really seeing it. I really am not. Now, we also got the Super Combo. This Super Combo actually makes me very inconvenient. More specifically, I don't know why it's starting with the Premier Art, by the way, but I'm more vexed by the regular art version. Maybe this is the big LARPer in me talking. This Frieza is from Resurrection F. This Frieza is not from the Broly movie. Because this is the Frieza that after Goku does the 1-inch punch and then knocks Frieza away, he gets sent to the ground. And then Goku acts all cocky and R farms, and then Frieza starts yelling. And then doing the cool little lotion effect that makes a little wave like he was doing Boo's dimensional shout. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that this Frieza is from the Frieza Resurrection F movie, not the Broly movie, and it bothers me because, you know, says BR right here. This one, you can see that it's more of BR, number one, because it has the little art style that you can distinguish from BR, though this pose is also from Resurrection F. So, it feels a little weird to say that this Golden Frieza is from BR, but, you know, like, if you get past that, like, it's pretty cool. I also do like the effect from the regular Super Combo rather than the premium one, but you know, we got a Gogeta. This is going to be your main Fusion Evolved target. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this Gogeta is better than the SR that we got from this set, but we'll get to it when we get to it. This evolves for free, so as long as you have the Vegeta BR and Son Goku BR with equal power, you can evolve this basically at no cost. And on play, it draws a card, so it replaces itself, and then you choose all battle cards in your opponent's battle area. They get -5. So for free, the second that you get both the Son Goku BR and Vegeta BR, which is basically at the start of the game, which is like on turn 3 or something, you get to draw and then you get to minus all cards by 5. This basically instantly removes all cantrips. You can also synergize with the leader effect to like start KOing your cards. It just ends up being very convenient and giving you a lot of value, as well as being a 5 cost 25k that just sticks on board and becomes annoying for the opponent to remove, especially when it goes off of cost and not power. And it's also a 10k on top of it all, so it's like an instant 4 of in every single Gogeta deck, I'm pretty sure, because even worst case scenarios, you just combo it out and it becomes a 10k, though you don't really want to because this on play effect is really good, because at worst it gets removed instantly, but it already replaced itself. So aside from removing 2 cards from your field, which would be the ones at the bottom, which would be the evolution cards, of course, this card would replace itself and then get KO'd, so it already did its job and then some more. Then you compare that to the SR, which is the next card, and then you pay an energy to evolve it, and it just swings twice, right? It's just an active main, and it's when attacking too, so yellow can freeze this and stop it from attacking with something like Hell's Rakshasa, or something like that. I mean, this card's obviously okay, and it also synergizes well with the Bulma we're going to talk about in a couple of seconds. In general, I think that the other Fusion Evolved card is just better than this one, isn't it? Because even though this does swing twice, the other one replaces itself and starts being able to KO cards, which you want to do anyway, because the whole point of the deck is to KO cards and not have to swing into them, right? I mean, this card isn't bad, of course. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying that you would much rather play the 5 cost in 9 times out of 10. Also, this art, I don't like it at all. Maybe it's just because I like the ink versions a little bit better, you know, like when it has like the shadows and stuff. But this one just looks like, it looks like a statue, you know what I mean? Like it looks too glossy. It looks like it's made out of Play-Doh is what I'm trying to say. So it just doesn't look good. If you like it, you like it, but me personally, I don't really see it. I'd much rather have the other art. This card is very interesting. Obviously, you want to play it for the BR combo with the Goku cards, right? And do the failed evolution, the failed fusions. But more importantly, or I guess not more importantly, but additionally, this card can also be run in Red Gohan because it is a 1-drop draw 1 Saiyan, so it can activate Gohan's leader ability. Now this is very important because the card that you would prefer to run in the Gohan deck to like rest would be a draw 1 cantrip, and the only draw 1 cantrip with Saiyan that we have had previously is the baby son Goten that came out with Starter Daima. So getting this new Goku with the other package would help out a lot, because then you can have 8 cantrips with Saiyan. And then when you use the ability with Gohan, this card drew a card and then it got rested. And if the opponent doesn't address it, you can rest it and use the ability again. So it's better than basically every other card that you can like use in that Gohan deck for the stand ability, except for maybe obviously the SR, which, you know, only needs to play 1 of. But what I'm trying to say is that this is very good for the Gohan deck, and I'm really glad that it is, because it means that you can run it on anything other than Gogeta, which, even though it is Gohan, which is like the borderline best red deck in the game, I mean, whatever. I mean, at least it's retro support. This card is very interesting. When attacking, this card gets plus 5k for every battle card in the opponent's battle area, and it is for the battle. So you cannot use this with any other deck. I would like to say that you could use this for UI, because it would swing, and if your opponent has, for example, 4 cards in the battle area, this gets 40k, and then your UI gets like 40k because it copies this, but it's only for the battle. So once it swings and it does its thing, it just automatically goes back to being a 20, and then you can't copy that then. You can use it on defense against UI, like if this was swinging, you could then copy it with your UI, but then like what would even be the point? You just don't play this against UI, right? You have so many other cards you can play, you don't play this. It's unfortunate that you can't really get like some different support. Additionally, gotta also mention that if it was for the turn, you could also evolve this card with other higher cost Vegetas, more specifically the red Broly Vegeta that we're about to talk about. A couple of seconds. What I'm trying to say, this card would have been much more interesting if it was for the turn rather than for the battle, because it just would synergize better with other decks and with Gogeta overall. But it's not, so it's just a cool little gimmick card. It is, however, basically never gonna not give you value, because even if there's no battle cards on the opponent's field, it just swings for 20k, which is basically just a vanilla swing, right? And if there's battle cards on field, it will always swing bigger than a vanilla swing, so it's still always going to be better. Especially when you consider that this card is going to be 20k on defense rather than a 15k with 10k combo, which is very nice. Very nice. We got this Son Goku. You reveal 1 card of Fusion Evolve from your hand, and then you choose 1 battle card, and it gets minus 5k power. Now, this card is not very good. If it was something like minus 10k, then we'd really be talking. Revealing 1 card from your hand is not that big a deal. It can help your opponent prepare for next turn, but it's not really ultimately necessary for your opponent to be able to do his lines. So, you know, like, revealing 1 card is not the greatest, like, drawback in the world, so I can understand why they made it minus 5 instead of minus 10. But it's still something to give the opponent, right? Like, your opponent is still benefiting from it. So it should have, not only do you have to have the Fusion Evolve card in your hand, you also need to reveal the card, so your opponent is also looking at your hand, basically. So I think this should have been at least like minus 10k to really make up for that. You can still use it for the evolution line, but I mean at that point, you should just be playing this Goku that for at the very least just swings very high, right? Just for like the 20. We got this Son Goku Vegeta BR, which is gonna be a staple put instant 4 in your Gogeta deck. You know, aside from the fact that it's an SR, you might not have 4 copies, but for you, there's Gogeta BR, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, and then you look at top 5 and you reveal 1 card with BR, and then you place the rest at the bottom. This card's very nice. It's a very standard 20k swing, and it replaces itself, so it's nothing too bad here. Also self-awakens, so it helps you get to your 5 life faster. But nothing really too extraordinary here, I would say. I mean, I say that, but I'm talking about the effect. This is a very good card for the Gogeta deck, because it can count as both a Son Goku and a Vegeta, so you can use this to synergize with any of the other Son Goku and Vegeta cards, and then evolve it using with this. You could even put 2 of them, and, you know, evolve with both of them being the same card, which is very, very nice. In the alt art, very rare to see this, but the alt art is actually much better than the regular art. Even though it does have like the kind of claymation effect that I was talking about earlier, I still think it looks really good, especially this Broly. They really made it look nice. At least that's what I think. This Cheelai is absolutely broken. I don't know what the devs were thinking when they added this Cheelai. This card is active main. Place this card into the owner's drop. If your leader is awakened, draw 1 card, then play 1 battle card with cost of 2 or less other than Cheelai BR from your hand in rest mode. This card is insane. I do not know why this card is not leader locked to BR. Now let me be clear. I don't like it when they leader lock cards, especially to the sets they come out in, because it really disincentivizes creative plays. And there's no point, because this card is supposed to be played on the deck that it came out already. Leader locking should only be reserved for retro support. When they do it with new decks that come out, it just comes out as lazy, because instead of balancing the actual cards, they just make it leader locked to the deck that it came out with, and then they make it as broken as they want, and it doesn't matter what they do, because it's just going to be broken no matter what, and then they don't have to worry about balancing it out with other cards in the game. So overall, I think they shouldn't leader lock cards on release. But if you were to leader lock a card, it'd be this one right here. This card is insane. Not only does it replace itself, which is essentially a cantrip, it plays a 2 cost from your hand in rest mode, any 2 cost? Son, you know how good this card is? You're running this on future Trunks. That's how good this card is. You play this Cheelai, you KO it, you draw a card, you play a Lookout Trunks, which is a 2 cost. It comes out in rest mode. Then you can draw a card. You can Self-Awaken and draw a card. Then you can play like the Sun Goku Lookout or the the Vegeta Lookout. And then for the same 2 energy that it would cost to play the Trunks, you can add it to the bottom of the field, and since it's on rest mode, it doesn't matter because it's gonna be at the bottom of the field anyway. So it just gives you so much value just for playing this one card, and it's a 10k too. It's a 10k. It's not even a 0. Like, are we not crazy? Is this not insane? This is supposed to be synergized with the Broly combo, which we'll just talk about in a second. But, like, in every other deck, this card is, like, an instant place for 4 of. Like, it's just way too good. It would really be nice to play it with the, this is a pretty good alt art. I actually do like this alt art more than the regular art, which is, you know, again, uncommon. But, I mean, since Cheelai is meant to be, like, a cutesy girl character, I think that the claymation style really suits her. Anyways, that aside, I really like to synergize it with the Trunks Youth that turns your card into a critter, but since you're playing it on rest mode, you can't. Because you have to switch the Trunks to rest mode. So that's unfortunate, but hey, at least we have this Cheelai that can play like basically the 2 costs and it pay a lot of value. You're thinking about active mains effect for that as we're on play. But that's like, that card is just insane, dude. I don't know what they were thinking. Now, this is my least favorite card of the entire set. This Piccolo BR. We got a Piccolo aura farming. Yes, we see the fit Piccolo. But unfortunately, if your leader is Gogeta BR, look at 4 cards. Top of your deck. Move up to 1 BR. Place the rest at the bottom. Why is this card leader locked? Why? You would think the effect is insane. It's a draw 1 cantrip. It's a draw 1 cantrip searcher, more specifically. But it's a cantrip. It just replaces itself for 1 cost. And that's leader lock somehow. Despite the fact that it looks for BR cards and you want to run a Gogeta anyway. So what the hell's the point? Now, no other deck would want to play the Piccolo. Fair. Not really any trace you can take advantage with this. But the Piccolo, at least you could run another deck if you wanted to. Why are we leader locking this? Like, that's the most insane part. We do have the extra that you can play with this Piccolo to draw 1 a Goku and a Vegeta BR, which is nice, of course, but number 1, it's more of a tech card rather than a necessary card, and number 2, just leader lock the extra instead of the cantrip. Like, if you don't want people to use the extra, just leader lock that extra. Like, that's what you should do, not leader lock this. Like, are they out of their minds, man? What are they thinking? Anyways, let's move on. Hate that card with a burning passion. Yes, we see the Fit Piccolo with the fusion. I can see either one of the other ones looking better than the other. It's basically the same one as a Piccolo, just making a different pose. But I think I prefer the Piccolo looking at you, honestly. That's just my take on it. We got this Bulma BR, very essential card for the deck. Leader is Gogeta BR, choose 1 battle card with BR. And it can attack active mode cards in the battle area. This is very reminiscent of the Dismal Future field for Android 18, except you can just pick 1 card and then that card can swing. The main target for this is going to be the SR Super Saiyan Gogeta that we talked about earlier with the evolution line. That swings twice because then you can swing into the battle card and then another one if you really wanted to. This card's nice, especially when we play it off with the Cheelai. This gets played off for 1, by the way, and then it comes in rested, and then you can choose a card, and then, you know, it can swing into active battle cards. Or, you could also choose to play it for 2 and then leave it active, since you don't have to switch it to rest mode to activate its effect. It's going to be very inconvenient to remove from other decks. I'm thinking specifically something like Yellow, Omega Shenron would struggle with it too. And you know, other decks like that. It really does depend on the matchup though. This Broly is what you're intended to run with the Cheelai. You active main, you discard a card from your hand, and then if this card has an attack during the turn, you switch it to active, and then it gets plus 10k. So you're supposed to play the Cheelai and then play this Broly, and then the Broly gets restood and then gets plus 10k, right? After discarding a card, which you already drew with the Cheelai. This does get you very minus in terms of power, and it doesn't have anything to really minus. It's not worth it almost at all, but when it comes to switching cards to rest mode from your field, we might get that with like another card. It might be nice. Though, now that I think about it and I say it out loud, you can also run this on Gohan, and then, you know, rest this, and then if you decide to, you can discard a card, and then switch this card to active mode and then swing for 30k, right? This can really help you close games out and get some extra swings where you really need them, and it's some nice support. And of course, even Gohan is gonna want to be running the one-drop Cheelai because it's just that good. It is insane how they thought to release it. And on Red, too. Red can also minus cards, so you can take advantage of the 5k attack power. So you can swing with it and also draw a card. It's an insane card. It's an insane card. We've been talking about it for months. I think this is one of the better evolution lines for Gogeta, especially since it's a failed fusion. It's a failed fusion. The failed fusions, which is Veku, and the skinny one, the same name? It is. It's just Veku. Okay. So I'm just gonna call him Fat Gogeta and Skinny Gogeta because it's just better to remember. So these ones can be evolved with any BR card. Notice that it doesn't have a cost restriction. For the regular fusions, you have to have an equal power. For these ones, they can just be any power, so you can fuse the 1-drops or the 2 costs or whatever, and still evolve it. Even if it, especially if it's a successful fusion, like if it's an equal power, you can also choose to evolve those, which is very nice. You place this battle card into the owner's drop, and then you add 1 Goku BR and Vegeta BR from your drop to your hand. Now, I don't know exactly how Fusion Evolve starts, how Fusion Evolve works, because we don't have it in the client yet. But I mean, don't correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably gonna be wrong anyway. But if the Fusion Evolve line, when you KO a card, it works the same way as regular Evolve, it would get the cards to the drop. And since you need to have a Son Goku BR and a Vegeta BR to evolve to this card anyway, this effect is basically impossible to whiff. So you're always going to get value from it no matter what, which is nice. And we can synergize this card with the Vegeta 1-drop, which we'll talk about in a second because I don't want to, talk about a card we haven't revealed yet. So we'll probably go back to that. This is also a very nice Fusion Evolve card. It's just, you can leave this on board. They work opposite of each other. The fat one you want to instantly KO. This one you might want to keep on board to keep taking advantage of its effect because you don't switch it to rest mode, and then you can choose a card and it gets minus 10k power, which is very helpful when you're trying to remove cards, especially multiple times, right? This is kind of mirroring the Beerus KO effect. So it depends on the type of matchup. It depends on a lot of factors, but in general, you would want to keep this on field if you have the opportunity, especially if you're going for a longer type of game. Now, this Vegeta is what I was talking about. You switch this card in Battle Area Rest Mode, and then you draw a card, and then you add a life to your hand, and then you draw a card on top of it all, right? So it's essentially a draw 1 cantrip that just switches itself back to Rest Mode. The additional add to life is also not optional. You got to keep that one in mind. So you have to take the life if you switch it to rest mode and draw the card. Basically what you're trying to do is play a Goku, like the 1-drop cantrip, then play this Vegeta switches itself to rest mode and then draws a card. Then the Goku is on active mode, the Vegeta is in rest mode. If I'm not mistaken, if one of the cards is active, the fusion effect will be active, but it doesn't matter for what I'm trying to talk about, because then you can fuse into the failed fusion of Fat Gogeta, which I'll try to pull up right here. Here we go. Even if this came out in rest mode, it wouldn't be that big a deal because it KOs itself. And then draws back the 2 cards that you just used. So the Vegeta drew a card, took a life, and then drew itself back to your hand. That is insane value in terms of early game. So Gogeta's going to be drawing a lot. And self-awakening very conveniently, as I mentioned before, because since this card gets KO'd and there's no targets for the opponent to swing into, they can just swing it. They will have to swing into you and then get you awakened. So it would still be better for Gogeta to be a awaken at 4 and then draw 1 because basically of this combo. But I mean, it is what it is, whatever. You could also see it as some sort of balancing. Now this is probably one of the worst cards they've ever released in this game ever. It is a blocker. On the opponent's turn, it gets plus 5k. What are you doing with this? It is like basically a 25k terms of defense. At that point, unless you're fighting against Red Mirror, play Tamagami number 3. Tamagami number 3 is a very huge gimmick card that was very bad on release. And it gained a lot of value as blockers started to be more important with Gohan. But this card is just not great at all. I mean, it gives you a lot of value against Mirror Red, sure, because it becomes a 25k blocker with just 2 energy. But ultimately, it's not that great a card when you really think about it. It'd be better if it was a 1-drop 35k can't swing card with, like the ones that we've gotten for other decks. But I don't know what effect it would really add to that. But yeah, this card just sucks. This card's just really bad. I don't think you're ever going to be running this. It's kind of the inverse of Goku. We're gonna talk about this in a second. We'll talk about well, actually, let's talk about the red Vegeta first, so we can talk about this. You reveal a card Fusion Evolve from your hand, okay? Then you pick a Son Goku BR, and then both this card, the card chosen by the skill, which is a Son Goku BR, gets plus 5k. I don't know how the evolution line is going to work in terms of adding power, because if both of them get plus 5k, does then the fusion get 10k, or does it get just one of the 5ks? I would imagine it does, because if you're playing this card, and then the Veku Fat Gogeta is 10k, and then it gets added to 5ks, it would become a 20, and then it can start to swing into leaders. It depends how it works, but like that's gonna matter a lot on whether or not this effect is useful, because at the moment the only thing plus 5k would get you is being able to swing into 25k leaders. So I would imagine that these two get added up to the Fusion Evolve, but we'll only know when the set comes down. Now what I wanted to talk about with the Vegeta is that, as a good rule of thumb to remember, the red Goku sucks and the Super Saiyan Goku is good. But in this one, the red Vegeta is good and the Super Saiyan Vegeta sucks. So I feel like that's a really good exchange. Like that's an interesting prospect, if for lack of a better word. We got some good Daima support here. You evolve it with a Vegeta Daima, Vegeta Mini Daima, and then you play this card in a battle area into the owner's drop. Then if your leader is Daima, and it's awakened, play up to one Son Goku Daima with Evolve from your hand. Now, the two targets would be the promo Super Saiyan 4 Goku or the SR Super Saiyan 4 Goku. The one that swings twice, or the ones that on play and when attacking, they get minus 10. Either both of those would be nice, but this is more of a rush down card that gets you very minus in terms of combo. So, Vegeta Daima and Vegeta Mini Daima, if I'm not mistaken, there is not really any card that replaces itself, except for Self Awakeners, which wouldn't be great because then you're essentially critting a life. But you would get minus 1 to play the Vegeta, then you play this Vegeta. This Vegeta swings and then gets KO'd. And then you have to play another Daima Goku from your hand, which would also get you to minus 3 in total. And then you gotta consider that it's minus 4. It's minus 4 because you also might want to, if you're playing this with Glorio, you want to discard the card that you get the effect off. So you're going minus 4 just to go aggressive and swing like 3 times. That is good. Swinging 3 times, one for 35 and then 2 for 40 is very good. But in terms of just being anything but rushdown, it really starts to look lackluster. I don't think what Glorio wants to do is rush down. I think Glorio can die very easily if it comes down to that. But, you know, the environment can change. Glorio can set up a very interesting deck list, and this can, you know, work. This is not a bad card, obviously. It's just that it's a big risk to take, especially when you're playing a deck like Glorio. We got this Lemo. This Lemo is meant to be used as a combo with paying 3 energy to play this Lemo, then you play off the Cheelai, which plays off the Broly. So it's an interesting little tech card. If your leader has Gogeta, you can only play it on Gogeta, of course. Not really a reason for that to be, but, you know, whatever. You draw a card, then you add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then you can play 1 battle card that costs a 1 and BR in its card name. So that's the Cheelai. I don't know why this card is leader locked, because the Cheelai is not leader locked. You can just play her out raw, and it would be better, because it just plays at the 2 cost. So this card would have been an interesting combo like tech in, like, I don't know, Universe 7 Blue Goku. Like, what does, like, here's a problem with leader locking cards on their release. What does Blue Goku have to gain from playing this card? Absolutely nothing. It would be like one of the worst combos he can play. But at least you could play it, right? At least you have the option to do so. Not just like you can't play the card no matter what. That's why you should really limit the leader lock, dude. Especially the cards that come out. Because it makes it so lame. Because, like, what are you going to do this on? You're not going to run this on Gogeta. You're a lunatic to run this on Gogeta. What space would you even have for it? You're running so many other BR cards that you want to play anyway. And your early game isn't so horrendous you need to play this on 3 energy. So what cards is useful for? Nothing. All right, we got our first extra. We got Torrent of Light. I think the devs haven't learned the lesson from Self-Destruct. They shouldn't add extras that minus and draw cards and replace themselves. So, you know, we'll see when this gets restricted or banned. If your leader's Gogeta BR, you have a Gogeta BR with 25k or more in your battle area. You draw a card, and then you choose 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area, and it gets minus 15k. 25k, sorry. So for 2 energy, this replaces itself and replaces itself and minuses all card by 25k, which is very important for the Gogeta deck that wants to KO your cards. But more importantly, this card is going to be very convenient to play because it's you're playing an evolution deck. So there's going to be a lot of situations where you're going to set up your evolution cards on field and then keep your energy stored next turn to be able to use Torn Light instantly and then be able to minus your opponent's cards. So there's a minus, it also ignores KO effects, so that's also important to mention. And it's just overall a very good card. I don't know why they were thinking getting, again, removal spells that replace themselves on top of being able to do removal, but you know, maybe we'll learn in the future why that's bad. Maybe they haven't learned yet. There's a Fusion Mastery card I was talking about, we were talking about earlier. This active main, place 1 Piccolo from your battle area into the owner's drop, and then you add 1 Goku and Vegeta BR, but it costs 2 or less from your drop. So this essentially replaces like fusion combos that you would have done earlier. This card doesn't really come up much. So here's the problem with this card. You need to have the Vegeta BR and the Goku BR in the drop rather than, you know, being able to search for them for somehow. So this Piccolo would be like kind of a late game card. But you want to play it early, because, you know, that's when you're going to be playing your cantrips and stuff. You're not going to have the Goku and Vegeta BR early in your drop, so that's going to be a bit of an inconvenience. You could combo them up to, like, use combo power and then get them back up with the Piccolo, which would be interesting, especially since you're playing Rushdown. But ultimately, I don't think you're going to want to be doing that much anyway, because you're actively getting card size down, you know what I mean? So this card can help, especially when you're trying to close out the game. You play a Piccolo and then you play this extra, and then for 2 energy, you're drawing 3 different cards, which can help you close out games, especially when you're picking what Goku and what Vegeta you're getting from your drop. But yeah, this card can help you close out games, but in terms of early game, I don't think it's going to help you much at all. And now we're going to talk about the Big Daddy, the secret rare, this Gogeta BR. The good thing about this secret rare is that it's nice, but it's not a staple. You know what I mean? Gogeta can still perform even if he doesn't have this secret rare. Though obviously you would want to have it because kind of the whole crutch of the deck is to be able to take advantage of the end of turn ability. But you don't really need it, right? But this is an insane card. This is Fusion Evolve. This is, you would have to do a perfect fusion. So you'd have to get a Son Goku and Vegeta BR with equal power of 20k or more. And you have to pay 2 energy, right? When you play this, you choose all battle cards, and then they get minus 25k, which is insane. Even one of the best cards in the best cards for stall, which is even the Master UI Goku from set 4. That one minus by 20k. Which this is just 1 5k extra, which is very, very useful. And then if your opponent's life is 1 or less and they have no battle cards in the battle area, you win the game. So this is just an alternate win con. How you see this card, how you envision this card, is essentially a double strike. Because if your opponent's life is at 2, then you swing into your opponent and then you get them to 1. They lose the game, and then that's the condition. So you can essentially kill them at 2. Overall, this effect is not that crazy, because if your opponent's at 1, you can probably just kill them anyway, especially if you're playing as, you know, Gogeta. In terms of it all, synergizing it with other extras that minus would be very good, especially since, again, it's an evolve card, so you're going to be paying the energy and then having a couple of energy series. You're not exactly going to be at 2 energy, because you're essentially using your entire turn to play this card, is what I'm trying to say. So you're paying 2 energy and you're at like 4 energy, then you can use like 2 energy to use like the extra account with the set and minus a card by 25k on top of it all, right? Yeah, let's get to the alternate arts. I really don't like this art. I think that this art, again, with the claymation, it really looks like not great at all. I'm just not that big a fan. It also makes the bottom it also makes the actual text very hard to read. This one even worse so. This is probably the worst double star effect in the game. This Vegeta looks like Daima Vegeta. He looks like a genuine baby. And so does this Goku. And the Gogeta looks okay, but number one, the colors are very shiny and it makes it very like hard to see. Because with gold text, like this, like when it's white and it's like a background, it makes it a lot easier to see. But when it's just gold, it just makes it like, it just looks like a little bit ugh, you know what I mean? It's obviously up to personal preference, whether or not you like this. Said that multiple times. But I would say, if I were comparing them, and let me look at the arts together, so I can really make a final declaration. I'd say this was my favorite. That's my favorite. Then this one, I guess. No, I think I like this one better, despite it, because at least it's funny. At least this Vegeta looks like he's Daima, and that's a teehee moment. But this just looks straight up bad. I just don't like this at all. So I would go this first, this second, and this third. But this one mogs all of them massively. I really like this effect. Final opinions. It looks like Gogeta's going to be a typical rush. I guess not typical, but a rush down deck. That is going to have a lot of draw power at the start and a lot of minus power at the end. It doesn't look like it has, unfortunately, much support with this new like set of cards. You're going to have to get specifically the good cards that come from this set, and that's going to be very limiting to especially free-to-play players. But you can still run very good cards that came out previously that focus on minus. I'm thinking of 3-cost SR Android 16. It's over. That you can use to synergize with the evolution like you would with Trunks, or something like Extinguishing Heat, which, you know, gives you attack power and minus power, which can help you remove cards. So there's a lot of good like extras and like gimmick cards that you can run on this deck. So that's gonna help it if you're like what's it called, a veteran player, even if you don't spend money. If you spend money, that's not gonna be a problem. You just play the best of the best cards, and that's not a big deal. But if you're free to play, and you're just starting the game right now, I don't think you're going to have a fun time trying to run this deck. If I were to give it a final rating, I'd probably say it'd be somewhere around 7 or 8 out of 10. It's a very good card. I don't think it's the best red leader. Well, it's definitely not the best red leader. But I still think it's very good. It does something very different, and I think it can compete in this environment. So yeah, very good, very good. More specifically, it's not like comically broken where you would want to run it as the red leader, which I think is very healthy and nice and a very cool leader for the game, right? So yeah, that's it for red. Next, we're going to be covering blue, and yeah, we'll also be addressing the starter deck, so look forward to that.